Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
Pleasant good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome one, welcome all. We welcome you to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. This is Tuesday, the 17th day of September 2024. And if it's a Tuesday, it's Maritime Tech Matters. Our sponsors for tonight's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site 101pharmacy.com. That's 101 Pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The three locations are East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course, Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. And where are we located? Bahamas Maritime Connection is located on East Street and Resurrection Drive in Nassau. And of course, we are located downtown Freeport as well. And our Freeport office is spearheaded by the one and only Mrs. Lydia Ferguson Henfield. And Mrs. Henfield been running things for years, well over 10 years now. She manages that shop in Freeport and she manages it well. So I say hello to Lydia. This is your show tonight, my dear. Good night, Auntie May. Oh yes, my number one fan for Maritime Matters. I say good evening to my dear Auntie May, 91 years old and going strong. As you know, that's my good old Auntie May, and I ain't changing that. South Andrews woman, carrying on bad. You all heard it last week. Regurgitate everything we said on the show the week before. And she did it again. Boy, but look here. You know my Auntie May is. I just want y'all to know that I ain't no fluke, that I ain't no hoax. My Auntie May is real. And one day she could bless me in studio so y'all could hear how she carrying on. I tell you that. Keep it up, Auntie May, and continue, my dear, being the number one fan of Maritime Tech Matters. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matter airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. Please be advised that today we are not broadcasting live in studio, but bringing this litany of information to you via a pre-recorded show. To hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows from the past, simply hit us up at any time via our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just go to YouTube on your electronic device and type in the search box in YouTube, Maritime space Matters space Bahamas. And you will see all of our shows appear before you, and you can just listen to anyone, anytime you want to, including this one. Come tomorrow, we'll have this up and going on YouTube. So we here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk maritime. Hello. Our topics for the night, and this is deep discussion we're going into. Gaia. G-A-I-A. Gaia, as you know, is Mother Earth. We've been through that last week. The damage being done via the unearthing of stored carbon on Mother Earth is unconscionable, people. And therefore, we need to ensure that it is addressed. We're going to talk about solar energy. How do we move from 5% of the world's energy consumption of solar in 2024 to over 40% of the world energy consumption by 2050? A mere 25-year span to move some 35% of the world's energy. That is not an easy feat. We got to keep our fingers crossed. But you know what? We're pressing on and we're moving forward with it anyhow. AML Foods. AML Foods very recently switched to solar on most of their stores. I think all except one. And by doing so, they cut their energy consumption cost down by about 50%. So they're now paying only half of what they used to pay before they went to solar. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't some more entities like AML Foods and our own local homes and businesses, shouldn't we all switch to solar and benefit from that 50% savings? You know, like Billy Easy. RCI, Royal Caribbean International. We're going to talk about that Paradise Island Beach Club. The construction supposed to have started, and we need to know exactly what's going on with RCI, with that construction, and what's to be expected, particularly pertaining to transportation to and from Nassau, between Nassau and PI. We want to address how that's going to be done. Carnival. Carnival has the celebration key, the big celebration key up there in Grand Bahama, getting ready to next year at this time, so have at least 1 or 2 ships coming in on a daily basis. But they have a job fair going on now, eh? And they have over 700 jobs up for grab. How did that go? We'll talk about it later. Greece. The country by the name of Greece, with all those Greek gods. They are limiting cruise ships. They said cruise ship visits to some of those Greek island destinations will be capped off due to overburdening those places. Is that something we are prepared to do in the Bahamas? Are we being overburdened by cruise ship visitors? Some people say the cruise ships, the visitors don't come off the ship. And then some say, man, so much of them coming, we need them, they doing this, doing that, and they ain't spending no money. What it is? You can't have your cake and eat it, eh? So let Greece do what they do, we have to do what we do. But we'll discuss. Japan. Japan has projected that they're going to introduce vertical wind turbines. What is vertical wind turbines? Well, all they are is those same wind turbines, but they're doing them sideways, eh? So they're finding a way to make them turn without having to be upright the way those ones are in those wind farms that we're familiar with. And like everything else, energy by wind, energy by solar is being exploited in all directions. So let's hear what Japan had to say about how they propose to go about getting enough wind vertically to make those turbines spin to make energy. So as you might imagine, we are locked, we are loaded, and we are heavily laden with information surrounding these timely topics. We're talking maritime, people. You are now listening to Maritime Tick, 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 Tick Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussions. So listen up, people. You do not want to miss this one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we are having a pre-recorded show tonight, so unfortunately you can't call back and talk back to me, but you know I loaded and I am about to unleash. We speak about our topics for the night show, and we're leading off with Gaia, G-A-I-A. Gaia, based on Mr. Lovelock, who have a series of books on Gaia. It's considered to be Mother Earth. Mother Earth being a female, being an entity that wants to survive. The damage being done via the unearthing of stored carbon. You know, all sources of fossil fuel is naturally stored by Gaia beneath the surface of the ground. When they want oil, when they want coal, they got to go deep, deep, deep into those coal mines and into those oil wells. Or stored by the sea, by way of seagrass meadows. mangrove swamps, and salt marshes. Because beneath those are stores and stores of carbon from centuries ago, from the time the earth was on the move. And we know that that's well over 2.5 billion years ago. And continue to store it on an hourly basis. Only we in the Bahamas don't get anything for our seagrass meadows sequestering all of that carbon out of the air on an ongoing basis and saving the earth. But man found ways to extract and utilize these carbon that are stored as energy sources. Subsequently, the carbon burn off created a blockade above the surface of the earth. And that blockade of carbon is now trapping the heat from escaping the earth's environment. So we have heat being trapped. You see all this rain popping up all over the place, and sun coming shining bright, and hurricanes lashing out so lavishly, and flooding happening all over the place. We never know that before. But that's because this heat is trapped on the earth and creating all kind of mess and disturbances in the environment that it is so unpredictable, you don't even know what to do. And you may think we get it bad in this country. Boy, some countries really, really get it bad. Based on man in his infinite wisdom stealing all the carbon that Gaia stored for the purpose of storing things that Gaia wants to use when Gaia needs it, and take it and use it as fossil fuel and energy sources. Now Gaia is starting to lash back. Thus we have global warming, where should we raise or allow that temperature to continue to raise, and it gets above, say, another 1.5 degrees centigrade on a daily basis, there will be catastrophic consequences worldwide. Yes, we're now seeing a glimpse of what is to come if we don't do anything about it. So, necessary measures must be adopted in the immediate future. And as such, the United Nations agreed unanimously by all countries forming the United Nations to attain net zero carbon emissions by 2040. This is the mandate that is already approved. This is out there. People, we can't duck it. We can't say, oh, we sign on to it too. So something has to be done. We have to take care of our business just like we expect those big countries that's creating big, massive problems to take care of theirs. And one of the ways that is being pursued to take care of those things is by way of solar energy, Solar energy, that's free energy. And when we say free, of course you got to buy the equipment to extract the sunlight and the heat that will be converted into energy to feed various electrical components. First of all, you got a grid that those solar panels trap there and send it to the grid. And from the grid, it's converted and sent on to be used as local energy supply. And as it stands right now, September 2024, the Earth energy source is moving from 5% to maybe 6% now, So we got percentage energy, a percentage energy source whereby we have to ensure that within a mere 25-year span. Because they say if you have 5% now, and the earth is going to move. When I say the earth, countries around the earth are going to move based on that mandate from 5% solar energy to over 40% solar energy worldwide by 2050. So in 25 years, because you know right now the world uses some 80%, provides some 80% of its energy by way of fossil fuel. And that 80% within 25 years is going to be replaced by solar and wind farms. So you got solar farms and wind farms, which will get around 40% each and consume over 25-year period that 80%. So I could tell you could put your money on solar right now and you can't go wrong. Put your money on wind farm now and you can't go wrong, because they are going to exponentially increase so fast, especially after the first 5-10 years, that we would wonder why we was using fossil fuel to begin with. And so by 2050, we should be down to zero, not fossil fuel only, but zero carbon emission. Anything that uses something to form energy and releases carbon, which is over 80% of stuff right now, will no longer be allowed to be used. So the whole world will have to use between solar, and in the colder countries where they can't make solar like us in this warm countries, wind farms, and out of that, after that 80%, we'll have 10% supply from nuclear. Well, today we have 10% supply from nuclear power, even in some commercial places. And we expect that by that time, that should go up probably to about 15%, because nuclear ain't got nowhere to go, but it's dangerous. A lot of countries don't want to use it. So by 2050, we imagine that 15% of that will be nuclear. And then, of course, we would have a little bit of energy left. And that would basically be things like hydrogen, providing energy, because again, there's no carbon being released when hydrogen is used. Ammonia, methanol, that type of thing, that has zero carbon emissions. So once 2050 come, and there's hardly no carbon going in there, and even before it reaches when it has been minimized significantly, we will find that Gaia will start to feel comfortable again, because we're no longer digging out the carbon that Gaia put down there to store. And we wouldn't need to touch it, because we are now, or we will then, be utilizing energy that Gaia provides by way of sunlight and by way of the wind. And once we're doing that, the world will be a better place. Gaia will be far more comfortable. And this is how we could be rolling, people. So that is how we're going to be dealing with solar energy moving forward. And then we have the story about the AML Foods utilizing solar. So what AML Foods did, they decided all of their food stores, they're going to cut down on the light bill. So what they did is they installed on the roof of all their stores solar panels. And of course, you got to buy the converter or the inverter and the battery and all the rest of that good stuff to provide the energy needed for that particular store. or those particular stores. And when they got through, because I think they got one or two more to do, but at this very point, this very moment, they have already achieved a 50% savings on paying light bill. So if AML could do it, why can't we? There's a combined $2 million investment installing solar energy via rooftop panels at 4 of its New Providence grocery locations to date. So 4 of their stores, they put the solar panels on the roof. They got the batteries, the inverters, and all of what they need to provide solar energy, I guess, for lighting, for heating, for whatever they need it for. And the light bill has been slashed in half. So I guess if they go fully solar, they wouldn't have no light bill at all. They'll only be paying rent for the meter. And this is where most of us are going, This is where BPL will have to be before 2040. So within 15 years, we will watch BPL get rid of all of that fossil fuel by way of diesel, by way of bunkersy, by way of natural gas, by way of whatever kind of gas or fuel or they're using now. Because all of them, every single one of them, emit carbon. They wouldn't be able to emit no more carbon, but yet they will still have enough solarized power. And they already started. Well, they already approved to bring in some 90 megawatts of solar power. And the country utilizes only less than 400 megawatts of power. So if we get enough solar to provide that 400, and we can do it, we can have solar farms like every other country won't get solar farms, enough to provide us full solar energy for all of our country requirement. And for some reason, BPL stenching. No, it's not as simple as flicking a switch and making it happen. We know that it's going to come gradually. We know that some entities do not want the fossil fuel to be discontinued. But we can't worry about that. We can't worry about that at this point. Why? Simple. We are part of this world that is moving forward. We're not in those regions where they require wind farms because they don't get enough sunlight. We're in the region where we can utilize solar. We don't have to worry about wind farms. And we can have more than enough energy to do everything we need to do. And our light bills will be going up because we're no longer buying fuel to make energy. The sun is free. Yes, we have to be paying for some maintenance of some equipment, but we pay for maintenance of equipment even when you're using fossil fuel, So the reality is that fuel surcharge and that fuel cost and that fuel that government put tax on will no longer exist. So our fuel costs, our energy costs will be like probably 40% of what we pay now. Well, of course, some people ain't gonna like it because a lot of people making money off this fossil fuel. And if they can't sell fossil fuel, can't be utilized anymore, a lot of that money ain't gonna be made no more. But then we, the Bahamian people, will be saving money in the process. So what's more important? For us to win or for them handful of people to win? Come on, people. Let's look at it for what it is and let's call it what it is. RCI. Now we got some problems with RCI. Royal Caribbean International. The Paradise Island Beach Club construction ensues. We always want progress. We always want development. And they're doing a dandy of a job developing that property that really was a couple of dilapidated houses and a lot of bush, We applaud RCI for what they are doing, what they are going to be doing. And at the end of the day, the beautiful facilities that will be in place when they're completed. But what we don't want, and listen carefully, RCI, what we, the Bahamian, well, okay, let me speak for myself. I can't speak for the Bahamian people. What Captain Glenn Bean would not want to see is RCI moving in on Paradise Island, operating from the ships at Nassau Harbor, and trying to control how people are moved, trying to control what happens on the beach side with all the water sport equipment. You got to remember that we have laws and we have entities in place to organize certain things. Based on the information that you're giving us, the doors should be open for business during the fourth quarter of 2025. That's about next year around this time, eh? About a year away. Mr. Simon, who is overall in charge, said to the dailies that they are going to be looking for somebody to provide ferry services which will transport Royal Caribbean passengers across Nassau Harbor between Prince George Wharf and Paradise Island. But he said that hasn't been finalized yet. So, does this suggest that RCI will have to say, or have us say, or have all to say, in what vessel or vessels ferry these guests to and from Paradise Island, or between Woods Rogers Wharf and Paradise Island? Why can't this activity be included in the current ferry boat rotational system? I don't think RCI is supposed to have no say in that, because RCI do not regulate water transportation in this, or any kind of transportation in this country called the Bahamas. Don't we already have a goodly amount of licensed ferry boats to transport vendors within Nassau Harbor? And if we need more, we got Bahamians who could provide more boats and make the pie a little bigger for other people to get some of it. But RCI shouldn't be getting involved in which boat could be used and things like that. You bring your ship to the dock. Once they leave that ship and get on the dock, you have no say in how they're going to be transported. Yes, you want them to your island, so you could arrange for them to get to where the ferry boats are. And the ferry boats are quite capable, the captains are licensed and all the rest of that. But Bahamians need to get a piece of this pie, Mr. RCI. Brother Simon. We want our fair share. So if these people need to be transported, we have a Port Authority Board and a Port Department. And the Port Authority Board gives license to all ferry boat captains, the registration to all ferry boat owners, and they monitor and manage and make sure that these people are legit. So if that's already being done, what are you talking about when you say we are looking for somebody to provide ferry services? Ferry services is established. If you need it to be bigger, talk with the Port Authority Board. Let them give out some more licenses. Let some Bahamian buy some more boats. Not y'all getting boats or y'all dictating who can get this job to do this. And no, man. Let the chips fall where they may. Let your people go to the ferry boat and let the ferry boat people, through their rotational system, deal with that. We have enough ferry boats, and if we don't, we can always get more. Let the people live. Why should this one be treated any different from the persons requiring ferry transportation across the harbor to Prince George Wharf from Prince George Wharf to Atlantis area, like they've been doing for years. You got a lot of people leaving the cruise ship to go to Atlantis to pay for a day pass. They go into Warwick to pay for a day pass. They go into Rio to pay for a day pass. And they catching the ferry, and that's why the ferries are there. So now if you get another location on Paradise Island, which is even 10 times closer, why this same ferry rotation can't fill the boats and take the people as they come? Why some other entity got to negotiate to be doing what licensed ferry boats are doing already, and the Port Authority Board and the Port Department have enough within their system to take care of the requirement for that transportation. Leave it with those who are in authority to deal with. Don't RCI shouldn't be trying to cherry pick who they use. No. We don't work like that. Let the New Providence Port Authority Board deal with this by expanding the ferry services the way it should be expanded so that a small man can live. And it goes on to say, I quote Brother Simon again, we have been speaking with different providers and we do have some company in mind. What company in mind? And we got the ferry boat system already in place. What is this? And it goes on to say, it's not only gas transportation. What do you mean not only gas transportation? Gas transportation should go through the ferry boat system. Obviously, our ferries, and what you mean by our ferries? You mean you're all getting ferries? Will go out for staff transportation, vendor transportation. So it would appear based on this piece of this quote that RCI have intentions to own ferries. Because it say, obviously, our ferries will go out for staff transportation, vendor transportation. No, we got enough ferry boat system dealing with that. Now, if you're saying that you're going to provide services for your staff to come to Wake, and you can get or hire a boat to deal with just that, we may let that slide. But don't try to set up a system where guests coming ashore to go from Prince George Wharf to Paradise Island are going to have to be channeled into an area that you guys provide. Leave that for the system, please. And the Port Authority Board, y'all are to ensure that the system is not manipulated, and any transportation from Prince Wood Rogers Wharf to Paradise Island goes through the ferry boat system. And that's my view on it. I might be wrong, but that is the way I think it's. Now, if somebody got some information that I know, please call me next week and let me know what's going on. Then we got coming up when that RCI Beach Club is completed. This could be another area for jet skis, another area for parasailing, another area for banana rides. And again, the New Providence Port Authority not only has the legal obligation, but they are authorities who are supposed to give out licenses for people to operate from that beach. So we know that RCI cannot take charge of any water sport activity between the high water mark and 50 feet in from the high water mark. That's where the jet skis and parasail and all them go operate. So RCI really should be getting on board or getting in meetings with the New Providence Port Authority and the jet ski operators. I think they may still have an association. If they do, then you want to go with that association and say, okay, so we would like to have like 20 jet skis available, and we need the Port Authority to understand that we have security in place. Because when I was the Deputy Port Controller for those couple of years, they used to call Cable Beach, the beaches out Cable Beach, the Gaza Strip. And then this long before we start talking about all this Israeli and Palestinian stuff was going on now, right? This like 25 years ago, 20 to 25 years ago. The Gaza Strip. Because that's how unruly things were. And so what happened? The chairman of the Port Authority at the time, and this is probably the best chairman the Port Authority ever had. That's Lady Daphne Cooper. And she had a good team of workers with her. And she got myself and the port controller, Mr. Harvey Sweeting, involved. And we engaged the hotel with meetings. And the hotel reached out to us. They accommodated us. And the Jet Ski Association and all the jet ski users. They had big meetings where we got together. And we decided, you can behave or you ain't gonna wait from here. And then we incorporated the security at the hotel and empowered them to write reports when they see things out of whack. Now they could actually use cell phone and record these fellas when they're out of whack. And once that report came in, we would file those reports. And if somebody got a little heavy on the reports, when time for them to renew their license at the end of the year, you know what we used to tell them? We don't think you need to be operating out there because you've been a mess here, there, and everywhere. And we took it a step further, you know. I got together with the Attorney General office and I got one of the lawyers in there to deal specifically with all of these complaints wherever they break the law, to put them in court, and some of them had to go get lawyers and go to court to get themselves clear. And these are the measures that are available to the Port Authority Board, and in conjunction with RCI, Cable Beach Hotels, Atlantis Hotel, because we had to do a similar thing with those over PI when they got out of hand. And when Mr. Basil Dane, may his soul rest in peace, when Mr. Basil Dane took over Atlantis, he and I got together with the association over there. And we empowered the Atlantis security working on the beach to write up people for doing mischief. And we would take them out of the rotation. We would go and cancel their registration. And we did things that caused them to realize, if you're doing these kind of things, you ain't going to be working out there. And this is how it is designed to take charge and control these things, eh? And when you give out certain numbers on their registration, say from which facility or property they are authorized to work. And that is done in so RCI. If you say you need 20 or 30 or 40, well, we will get together and decide if we think you need a couple more or that might be too much. And then we'll get together with when I say we, I'm talking about the government, right? I'm talking about the port, the New Providence Port Authority, and make sure those things are taken care of. Because we don't want RCI coming into Paradise Island and carrying on like they did at Coco Key, where they own all the water sport equipment. Ain't no local in Great Harbor Key that's come around there and have license to operate water sport equipment. They own all the water sport equipment and they got foreigners coming in and operating them. That's a no-no on PI. And that's a no-no even on Coco Key. We got to fix that. So that's how we roll it. Good. Carnival. Celebration Key. Grand Bahama just had a job fair and they had hundreds of people attend. Hundreds. Because everybody want an opportunity, if they don't have one, to get one of these 700 plus jobs, eh? And, it is expected that over 2.2 million guests will visit Celebration Key every year. Because they're going to have at that terminal, they're going to have 2 berths. And each of those berths will be capable of accommodating a huge passenger ship or cruise ship. that carries in excess of 6,000 passengers. So they have like over 12,000 passengers on a daily basis. Over 12,000. Let's say even 10% come ashore. We know it could be higher now. Let's say 20%. Out of 12,000, how much that is? 120, 240 or 2,400 guests coming ashore on a daily basis. You notice over 2,000 people just coming and sitting in your lap. I told the people from Freeport, and I tell them again, I encroach upon you, please. Get a piece of that pie. Have something to offer these people. You ain't paying nothing for them to come here, now. All you need to do is facilitate some of the things people would want in a port. And you're straight. So that's how we want to roll it, that one. Now we got a situation where we can move on to the international feeds. And in moving on to the international feeds, we want to start out with Greece. What is Greece doing? Greece turning away cruise ships. Telling some of them, we ain't want all of y'all here. It's too much. So when we get back after this break, ladies and gentlemen, we will be happy to hear how the great Greece is going to deal, and Greece ain't the first one, but we going to know how the great Greece is deal with this type of overburdening of passengers around those nice Greek islands, eh? So stay tuned. We will be back. You're listening to Maritime Matters. I am Captain Glenn Bain. And hey, thanks for clocking in.
All over the big thing, the Bahamas is big thing. M-A-S. When it comes to the Bahamas, there is no contest. My island is big ting. All over is big ting. The Bahamas is big ting. The Bahamas is big ting. My island is big ting. All over is big ting. The Bahamas is big ting. Long Island is big ting. 242 is big ting. The Commonwealth is big ting. Breaking Straight is big ting. Junction 2 is big ting. Nice and real big ting. Big ting. Big ting.
Big ting. Big ting. Bahamas is big ting. All over is big ting. Boy, look here. Delete. Big ting. The Bahamas is big ting. Now what that mean? That mean we big ting. We bad out there, my old man used to say. We bad out there. Bahamas is big ting. And we so big that we keeping ourselves small. Do you know that the Bahamas has land mass and waters that can rival the entire Eastern Caribbean with about 12 or 14 different countries? Most of our islands are bigger than the majority of those Caribbean countries. So I can tell you, we are big ting, because what they have in the Eastern Caribbean is each country has a dock that can accommodate a cruise ship. But look how far they are from the cruise ship hubs. The three largest cruise ship hubs in the entire world are right on, or we are right on their doorstep. Miami, Port Everglades, and Cape Canaveral. They're the largest in the world. You know, the Eastern Caribbean got to fight to share. Most of their cruise ships home trade right in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico ain't nowhere near the size of those three largest home porting facilities in the world for cruise ships. That's part of the reason, and a big part, why our Nassau cruise port is the most visited cruise port in the world outside of home porting facilities. We get more than any other country that don't home port. We get more visitors by cruise ship. Big time. Because the Bahamas is big thing. But we got Greece. Greece is saying to cruise ships, Greek islands are being overburdened. We need to cut down on the amount of y'all coming here. And we can't let it expand, because people, you need to know something. In the world, as we speak right now, they're making more and more cruise ships, and they're getting larger and larger, and they're all seeking new destinations. So while the great Greece is saying, they holler enough, we had enough. We don't want to increase, we want to cap off. Are we being overburdened at Nassau Cruise Port? Well, maybe we are, but maybe we're not. Because some people are saying, oh, that's too much people coming to this island and bringing their garbage and they pollute our waters. And, people talk all kind of things, right? And then some people saying, oh, they come in here, but they staying on the ship making up all the money. So what is it? Is it that too much of them coming ashore? Or is it that not enough of them coming ashore? It can't be both. Somebody got to be wrong. Or is it that we Bahamians just like to complain no matter what? If too much of them come off, we complaining. If ain't enough come off, we complaining. But we're spending a dime to get them here. They coming here and they basically just being trusted in our laps. How much provisions really is our Bahamas, which means our government who we put there, excuse me, how much provisions are they really taking to reach out, not only to these cruise ships that come in now, but for the exponential growth to come? We know that they're getting bigger. We know that they're getting more in abundance. And we also know that they're looking for new destinations. What are we, as a country, right on their doorstep, doing to ensure that y'all can't have too much ships for us? Because we got so much destinations in our country. We got one, our government of the Nassau Cruise Port, and that's it. We don't control no more. Isn't that a disgrace? Is that not a shame, my good people? A big shame. Because if we were to be smart, I won't call it sensible, but I ain't calling nobody stupid, right? But if we want to be smart, we would thrust open our doors and we will give them at least a dozen destinations that we put in place. Because when you look at what they have, they have, and let's go down the list of what they have now. This is what the cruise ship put in place, because they know we on their doorstep and they want places where they could go, but the government ain't giving them no places, so they're making their own places. The first one was Coco Key. I remember would you believe when I joined the Defense Force in 1981? We used to anchor off Slaughter Harbor. We used to anchor off Little Harbor Key, which is now Coco Key. Great Harbor Key, which is still Great Harbor Key, but Coco Key belongs to who? Coco Key belongs to RCI or RCCL, however, I guess RCI, Royal Caribbean International, eh? They didn't exist then. Big yachts used to go anchor off and use that beach. But now today, because cruise ships started to get so big and they started to get so plentiful, they needed destinations, so they bought the key and they make it theirs. And then eventually, right after that, the eastern side, the Great Harbor Key, was bought by NCLA, Norwegian Cruise Line. And then, of course, Carnival ain't gonna get legal. So Carnival decide we want Princess Keys. And so Princess Keys was outweighed because they say, look, we got that, but we need more than that. So in this same area, we want what we used to call, because we used to go there and search that key back in the 80s, Little San Salvador, which is now Half Moon Key. And this is how these cruise ships started to get their foot in the doors with their private islands. And all this time, Nassau is the only one the government controlling, And Freeport, of course, is controlled by the port. And ain't much of them like go there because it costs so much money. And then the harbor so far from civilization, people can't walk off the ship and just go ashore and go downtown and walk and check. They got to catch some kind of ride, taxi or some kind of ride up there in order to just do their regular shopping or go to Port Lucayo or all the rest of it. So Freeport is out of the question. They even ain't like going there, right? And we all know this. This ain't no secret. So you got RCCL grab that key, Coco Key. NCL grab Great Harbor. Carnival came and they grabbed Half Moon Key and Princess Keys, right? And all of these were not belonging to them back then in the 80s, right? And the Disney came around. Disney said, we need one too. So you know what they grabbed? What used to be Gorda Key. We used to keep presents there. We block off that airstrip to make sure no planes can land there. Every time we go in that area, we'll go and search that key, because that was a hot key back in the 70s, for drugs. So Gorda Key became what? Castaway Key, owned by Disney. Everybody getting their own little key. And now Disney looking for another one, Lighthouse Point, which almost finished. And all this growth going on in Nassau Harbor, still the only one the government own, and the government have. And later on, of course, that's what, then 6 gone. They have Resort World made an arrangement with Virgin Cruises that they want a pier because Resort World wanted people to come and play in their casinos and whatnot. So they have a facility in Bimini called Resort World where any size cruise ship could come. And they've been having all the carnivals, and I don't know if RCCL and them has come, but guess what? They will facilitate ships. But again, not owned by our good friends, the government of the Bahamas. And then, if that wasn't enough, another cruise line called, what they name now? MSC, Mediterranean Shipping, whatever. And MSC bought, all of us know what used to be Ocean Key, because it's still named Ocean Key. And that's the controversial key where they used to do all the Ragonite and this and that and that. So, all our keys are getting picked off by who? These private islands. And why are they picking off keys? Because I don't think they can get permission to go into the mainland. Well, I can't say that because Carnival now, with Celebration, keep getting in the mainland. And RCCL trying to buy something else in Freeport Harbor, I understand. I don't know if that ever happened. But, they are making their own provisions because our slack country, by way of a series of governments, I ain't blaming no current government or last government or the one, I'm talking about from way back. From Balfour Beatty days, when they're talking about expand Nassau Harbor to accommodate bigger ships. Twice. We didn't have nothing going on no other island. So, I say to our government of the day, and we always have a government of the day, we need to take measures to correct the past. Because in the past, we ain't checking. We got the Eastern Caribbean, where they ain't got as much money as us. All them put together, I don't know if they have as much money as us, right? But they got all kind of cruise ship berthing facilities. And our island's bigger than theirs, and we got ocean just like them. And our islands, our water's more beautiful. I could tell the world, I've been to all them Eastern Caribbean countries. We should have done this a long time ago, Mr. Government of the Bahamas. Let's get cracking and start putting docks on our family islands. I don't think NCP, the Nassau Cruise Port, is being overburdened with cruise ships because they have provisions for all those ships. And we got plenty of people in Nassau to suck up what they doing when they come ashore and give them things to do and all the rest of that. As I said, this is the busiest single non-home porting destination in the world. So we should not consider limiting the amount of cruise calls. Let them keep coming. But what we need to do is we need to give them more destinations so that they could call all the time in the Bahamas. We don't want them only limited to their private island. Yeah, of course they can use their private island. And look here, if they want 10 more private islands, we'll give it to them. I don't have no problem with them. They can get whatever they want. But we want to put docks in place that will entice them for their people going, you know, the family islands don't hardly have no crime, right? So we shouldn't need if we do the obvious and open up those destinations on each of our family islands. Let's start with the lowest hanging fruit, Morgan's Bluff. A little bit of dredging to put a turning basin in place and make it a little deeper for the big ships. And extend the, what they call it, the skirt or the whatever they call it, extend the existing dock facility. So all you need to do And that conversion is done. Cruise ship can now go there. And once they go there, everything else can happen. Because a lot of people from North Island is going back home. And a lot of people who know but I'm dealing with cruise ships from Nassau, they can go there as well and buy a house or build a house and set up shop because they know those cruise ships can need tours. Those cruise ships can need line handlers. Those cruise ships can need pilots. Everything they need in Nassau, they can need there. So, little dredging, little turning basin, little extension of dock, and Morgan's Bluff ready. And so they'll now have a new destination. Well, I mean, don't go down LA. What LA? LA in Los Angeles, eh? LA is low sound. You know, low sound is one way in and one way out. But they very friendly with the tourists. So they ain't got no problem going down LA. In fact, people give them tours going into LA. People give them tours going to Red Base where all the sponge is being manufactured and all the rest of that. They could give them tours, taking them to certain beaches where they could just enjoy themselves and go snorkeling right on the third greatest barrier reef in the world. Come on, man. Let's get Sandy Point going, Mr. Government. Let's stop slunking, eh? And following this, we can introduce the pier between Sandy Point and Northwest Point, Abaco. That area where the ocean touching the land almost. We could do what is already being done in Freeport by Carnival with Celebration Key. We could, just like how they could go there and put a little dock coming out into the ocean and build up the place. The government could do the same thing at Southwest Point, Abaco. And the people from Sandy Point and Crossing Rocks and all over Abaco could be coming there because now if you got two cruise ships going there on a daily basis, just like Carnival gonna have two going, I want you to know these ships looking for places to go. And if you're that close to the three biggest home porting facilities in the world, they'll be glad to save fuel and go a couple different places right in the Bahamas, even if they pick up someplace else. Right? Give them more opportunities to utilize our docks in this country for cruise ship. Let's put them in place. So they could accommodate now in Abaco 2 of the largest cruise ships in the world once we get that Southwest Point with a jetty or a dock so those cruise ships can come in. And you fix up a shore a little bit and you let people move in the area and you got little restaurants and bars and all that. You know how big that'll be for 10,000 people a day to be coming on ships and basically walking right to you where you got everything going on? And those nice beaches in the area. And then we want to go to Eleuthera. Because, well, we already been to Eleuthera. We consider North Eleuthera, but they say that too crowded already. Brian and them, they develop. So South Eleuthera already have, as I told you, Disney is going to do the Lighthouse Point. They already have Princess Key. And people come from, that's close to Half Moon Key, so they already got enough going on there. So we'll skip that. And we'll go to Cat Island. Cat Island don't have no cruise ship dock. Look how big Cat Island is. You got them little docks in the Eastern Caribbean, got cruise ship here. Come on, Mr. Government. Cat Island, Mr. Prime Minister, that's your spot. Cat Island is begging for a cruise ship pier. Right in the vicinity of Devil's Point. Touching the ocean again. Free from that, this area is quite protected from the prevailing eastern weather conditions. And of course, it's a low budget dock project. Just project the dock, the dock from shore out into the deep water from the mainland, and that's it. That can take 2 cruise ships, just like how they did on Grand Turk. Just like how they doing at Celebration Key. Just like how they did at Castaway. And I understand Half Moon Key is now trying to put a dock in place so the cruise ship could go in and stop, dropping anchor in the area. It is easy fixes, government. Let's spend our money on things where we could get a lot of returns. Why slunk on this? And of course, from Devil's Point, we got another one. San Salvador right there. So the already famous San Salvador can be graced with a dock protruding into the ocean waters from near the site of Columbus Landing. Right in that area. Nice waters, nice beach. And this be quite in the proximity of the capital, Coburn Town. Also within the reach of the beautiful facility at Club Med, where they got all those nice food and restaurants and oh, that beach, that what 7 mile long? Man, that beach so nice. So let's get San Salvador. San Salvador got a lot of people living in Nassau, because they ain't got enough weight down there for them. Man, put the cruise ships down there, get thousands of people coming every day, and they'll all go back home. They ain't want to be here. They'd rather be home. So moving on down the line, we're going to install an abutment at Port Nelson, of course, on the lovely island of Rumkey, eh? So Port Nelson, just to the western side there of the city, just need an abutment protruding into the sea. The island is ripe, and they got a lot of proposed development projects going on, eh? So the installation of a cruise ship accommodation dock can only add value and help to cause the natives to return home with much needed employment opportunity, because you got a lot of them in Nassau who they wish they could stay in Rumkey and live, but ain't enough to do. Let one dock with 2 cruise ships, 10,000 people come there, and the island will just explode. And you know what, with these family islands, some of these cruise ships won't even stay overnight, because the government could say, look, if you stay here, we can let you open the casino. Come on, we need to wait with them. They're bringing these people to us for nothing, How about the beautiful, tranquil waters of Landriel Point, Crooked Island? You ever been to Landriel Point on a boat? Man, that's a beautiful dock area, eh? Yeah, this is the ideal spot for cruise ship pier. Here, the ocean graces the shoreline with deep waters. They even ain't got dredge nothing. Trust me on that. And you just put a little dock protruding out from the shoreline into the deep water, and the cruise ship could come right there, 2 sides of that dock and tie up. Then, of course, right around the corner, we got Selena Point, Auckland. We want to put a cruise ship dock there as well. Of course, on the ocean side, not on the western side, on the eastern side. And again, there's ocean nearby to provide the deep waters the ships would need at the dock. So you ain't got to go looking for any. We know where the areas are. And there's no reason why each one of these places can't have a dock so the cruise ship could pick, choose, and refuse. And then more cruise ships will be coming here because they got more destinations. All of a sudden, the Bahamas is like the entire Eastern Caribbean. Every island would have its identity. Every island would have separate tours and things they do. Every island would, man, come on, man. Why we so far behind on this thing? And then across the pond, of course, you got Mayaguana, eh? Mayaguana, again, you'll find pristine deep waters quite close to shore. So providing a dock for visiting cruise ship cannot be burdensome, eh? Because we are going to get Betsy Bay. Right there, where hardly nothing going on. We let those cruise ships go. Then they can have a nice quiet time. They ain't got to disturb the natives because the natives ain't mind little tourists coming in here and there. But that area could be built up, like I say, selling crab and dough. You got your rock oven where you're baking your potato bread and your banana bread. And let the people come in and mix and mingle. That's what the family island's all about. And that's what the tourists want, you know. And, of course, you can't leave with Clarence Town. Clarence Town, the great Long Island, a much-needed boost. It'll be able to facilitate 2 of the largest cruise ships in the world on a daily basis. And you go south of Clarence Town, and you know the whole eastern end of Long Island is ocean. Come on. You put an abutment, just like they do in that Celebration Key, and you get people to come in the area and offer things. And once you know cruise ships come in there, that gonna be straight. Hey? And last but not least, we got right near the lighthouse at Inagua, we will provide a perfect spot to place a cruise ship landing point. That lighthouse area is so beautiful, and the ocean is almost touching the rock, eh? This is quite a remote area. Man, it ain't too far, so it's a good little walk from the town, but ain't much going on in the town. No. We could build up that area for the dock, because that's where most of the activities could be going on, eh? So it's this quite a remote area. 1 or 2 cruise ships, they pass in there all the time. Because when they're commuting between the Eastern Caribbean and those 3 major ports, where they home port, they usually stay overnight for a whole night because there ain't no place in the area to stop. So Inagua and Meg One will provide that stop that they so desperately seek. Especially when they're coming from Grand Turk, eh? Go right to Meg One and then stop to Inagua, then go up the San Juan Channel and go up to Florida. Easy, easy, easy. So there you go, folks. Another glimpse of what should have been in place decades ago. But as usual, we sit on our fat, juicy bungie and allow these opportunities to just waste away. We must bring an end to this ongoing slackness. Like my boy Herb used to say, boy, I got that cowcock soaking in that diesel. That was soaking now for a couple of weeks in that diesel. So when I pull that out now, so when it's time to lash, that can be very flexible. And my boy Papa Milton used to say, they need licks, man. Yuck out that cowcock and administer lashes. Licks, I say, licks. Boy, let me tell you something. We got some people in this country. All they need is more licks. That's how slag they is. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I say good night to you, my dear listener, for continuing to listen to Maritime Matters. Good night to my Annie Mae. Good night to Lady Lydia up there running BMC in Freeport. Good night to Cathy and Mario and Dawn running BMC in Nassau. Good night to my good producer, Brother Craig, Mr. Craig Gibson, Mr. Wonderful himself. And as always, I say to you, we think that we should be going out with.
We going in the boat, bro.
Going in the boat?
Oh,
Do some do, eh?
let them know we don't mind
I
the people,
tell
man.
ya.
Let me tell you what they is call us.
Bum, 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 bum. Mr. KB. On the waters.
Family big old
Free diving. Trying out liners. How we survive. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Maritime Matters. With that, we say Maritime Matters. Tick, 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 tick. Out.